everybody, I'm Ross the Boss, and welcome to Fantasy Baseball. And today's topic is how to have a balanced team and win your league because you need balance if you want to win. You just can't have a bunch of hitters that are home run hitters or a bunch of pitchers who are just strikeout artists. You're not going to win your league. I'm sorry, there's no way. So you got to be a little smart here and use the math you learned in grammar school. You don't have to be the mathematician to figure this out. I can do it. You can do it. So a lot of players, the first thing you got to do is know what your rules are and what categories you have in your league. Is it a 5x5 or is it like extended version of 5x5? You got to use those categories to draft your team. So if there's no wins, let's say, and you're drafting pitchers that are win guys, you're wasting time. You know what I mean? You're just wasting time. I mean, if it's whip, if it's ERA, if it's strikeouts, if it's stolen bases, if it's any of those categories, you got to know what you're drafting beforehand, because if not, it's going to be disaster season. A lot of people don't pay attention to one category, which we'll talk about now, is stolen bases. Stolen bases have been on the uprise the past few years because the rule changes and everything. They're making it easier for players to run and take advantage of that because that category means just as much as home runs. So when you draft, that's the one category that you can kind of predict because no player is going to go from like 5 stolen bases to 50 in one season. It doesn't happen. I mean, all of a sudden he takes a pill and he's running like, Carl Lewis? It's not going to happen. So know the players that like to steal bases. Those guys will be consistent until at least they're 30, 31. And then they can have a little drop off, just so you know. So know people's ages when you draft. But that all being said, draft guys that can hit home runs, draft guys that can hit stolen bases and RBIs. The one category that is way overrated because people draft guys that score a lot of runs. You don't need to do that. It's a waste of time because guys that get on base, that steal bases, that hit home runs will score runs. So don't concentrate on the run category. Concentrate on stolen bases. RBIs and home runs will correlate together. And also, if your league has slugging percentage, of course, that's home runs. So draft people that are high in that category. Don't draft guys that score runs. Obviously, they will score runs, but don't use that category as a way to draft people. Trust me on that. So my key, if you can get a player that's going to have 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases, draft them immediately. Those players are worth gold. I mean, there's players that are 40-40 guys. I mean, again, these are first 5 picks in a draft. So if you want these guys, you got to draft them early. But if you can trade for them, that's great also. Let's say somebody's started the season slow, you go and get those guys. Let's talk pitching now. Pitching is, it's people go high and they go low and everything else, but a lot of pitchers are very consistent. But that being said, you want to get an elite pitcher. And I did a draft a couple of weeks ago where I drafted like all the elite pitchers. I had all the elite pitchers. I just drafted all pitchers the first 7 rounds. That's all I did. And then I drafted all my hitters after that. And my team came out pretty good. I don't know what's going to happen in the season. It's kind of like a test. But I have like the top 5 pitchers in Major League Baseball on my team. I mean, it's stacked. And I'm not suggesting you do that, but you should have an elite save guy, let's say, top 5, and an elite pitcher, top 5. Somebody under 30. When you get over 30, that's when you start getting hurt. So with balance on your team, you want guys, 28 is a great median age. I love 28, 29. I think you're in your peak in Major League Baseball. You want to get those guys and be balanced with those guys on your team. But don't draft pitchers late. Don't wait till the 7th, 8th round. Draft some elite guys early and you'll have a huge advantage. I mean, those categories count just as much as hitters. And you want to have that advantage, of course, during the season against your opponent because a lot of people don't really care about pitching. And I get it, that you want to have these big guys that are hitters that are hitting home runs. You're not going to win your league. Trust me. And you don't want mediocre pitchers on your team. You want a good balanced team. You want good hitters and you want good pitching. So when you're drafting, trust me on this, draft a starter in the first 3 rounds. Just do it. Don't even, I don't care who's on the board unless it's something crazy and some guy dropped like a maniac, of course draft him. But if not, and it goes to according to par, draft an elite pitcher. And if you can get 2 of them, you have a huge advantage, especially in the 12-person league or 14-person league. I mean, it's huge. And I know pitchers get hurt. I know what happens, but spin that wheel, see what happens, because you're going to have a great season. Trust me on that. Because the one thing you can't count on is these young pitchers coming in and having great seasons that haven't been tested. People love, well, this guy's a rookie. He was great in the minors. Doesn't mean anything. You got to get these guys that are proven, that are in their late 20s, and that are on good teams. And there's some teams that don't like their starters to go over 5 innings. I know what they, like example, the Toronto Blue Jays, the past 5 seasons, they don't like their starters going over 5 innings. I know that. And so does Miami. It's the same thing. And there's other teams that applaud it, that want their starters to go 7, 8 innings. So that all being said, just be aware like what's going on with that team and know what the balance is with their team and how they think in their whole ideology when it comes to starting pitching. It's very important. And my closer is this: when you're drafting, know the categories, know what's going on. Don't go to a draft without knowing what the categories are. And sometimes they'll surprise you. Sometimes they'll put a curveball in there, and you have no idea that this category is not in there. I've been to a draft where there's no RBIs. I've been to a draft where there's no batting average. And that all being said, know what you're drafting to, and don't ever take a player just because you feel that you need that category really bad. Don't draft like that. Draft balanced. Balance your team. A hitter that hits for average, steals bases, hits home runs, that's the ideal hitter. Pitcher goes 7 innings, has 7-8 strikeouts a game, ERA is under 3. That's ideal. But it's hard to find those guys. I'm Ross the Boss. Check me out during the season. I'll have a lot more guys you should pick up. I've had more guys that you should pick up on waiver wire. And I'll give you everything you need during this season so you win your league. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, say it below and press that like button. And you know what? I'll see you on the playing field, cowboy. It's going to be a long season.